justice.
Justice now! Justice now! Justice now! Justice!
First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the land that we are having today. The reason the rally is called was there was an injustice in the Supreme Court in WA. An Aboriginal woman off the road, mate. An Aboriginal woman holding a knife was shot by a WA police officer. He was then found not guilty. It would be everywhere. Media would be having its field day. But because it's an Aboriginal woman, because it's an Aboriginal life, nobody cares. But we care, and that's why we're here, to say we want justice. We want our laws changed, because we're sick of these laws that don't fit us. They are made for the patriarchs. They are made for the colonists. We don't fit in this colony. Their rules don't apply to us. But yet our mob are the most incarcerated in this country. Why? Because the laws don't fit us. They only suit the colonists. And you fit in a box that doesn't fit us, so the box needs to change. So we can all live here under one system that suits everybody. Doesn't matter which country you come from. Help us change legislation. Help us change policy. And help us make the system better for all of us. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Rachel McLeod. I'm a Yuggera woman from the Yuggera country in southeast Queensland. I became involved in these rallies because my family have lost 5 members to deaths in custody, 4 of which all suffered mental health issues and died because of those issues. So just excuse me because I'm just reading from some notes here. In 2021, you know, we could all be standing around wondering why these things are still happening. Why so many deaths in custody? Why Australia is nicknamed the incarceration nation of the world? You know, no accountability for policy deviation or the wide-ranging powers given to police discretion, which, you know, I guess the biggest issue with police discretion is that police have the, you know, their own attitudes and prejudices all influence their decision making when it comes to interactions with people and incidents. So how is it that, you know, with deaths in custody and the inhumane ways that Aboriginal people are dying, but also the really high incarceration rates of mental health people in this country who basically are in prison because there's nothing that, you know, there's nothing else to do with them. So they're incarcerated. These people are not criminals. They've been criminalised by the system and by police discretion. They've been made criminals by the system and they've been incarcerated because of it. Okay, these people need mental and clinical help, not imprisonment, which only exacerbates their mental health issues and then becomes become a burden on the rest of society. Not to mention that their quality of life is severely diminished. So when we consider the issue with JC, the reason why we're standing here today, mental health, you know, how is it that a police officer gets to have his day in court, you know, and an all-white jury clears him? Video footage that shows that he clearly shot her without provocation.
Shame.
Okay, injustice. And he got away with it because the system is seriously flawed.
Change the system.
So the Black Lives Matter in 2020 refocused attention of the world on Black Lives Matter, issues with the high incarceration rates and just human rights breaches here in Australia for the Indigenous people here. So, as of now, the incarceration rates, most people should know by now for Indigenous people, and we only occupy 3% of the population here in Australia. The incarceration rate stands at 29%, but in the last 18 months, those rates have increased Australia overall by 2%.
Shame.
That includes men, women and children.
Abolish prisons.
600 youth, Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal, are imprisoned in the Australian systems every year, and they're all aged 14 and under. So those numbers don't reflect children above 14. Okay, 600 every year imprisoned. Culturally, there's been utter distress and outcry over the desecration of Aboriginal and cultural lands, sacred sites. You know, Aboriginal people have pretty much lost everything because the system and the laws in this country are all colonial, outdated, and they don't reflect the needs of the people that are here today. But here's the thing, despite the amount of rallies and outcry and protests and bringing attention to all these issues, the problem is that the government, under the United Nations, with over 200 recommendations handed down, refuse to legislate any of those recommendations into law domestically.
Shame.
So the bottom line is, for Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people, you have very little to no human rights in this country, regardless of your race or culture. You don't have any. The 5 points of recommendations that the Australian government did accept don't even relate to things like what we're here discussing today. So when it comes to things like this, not one single Australian citizen has any human rights protection because the Australian government has not legislated it. And they refuse to, as of 2020, because it would mean that they have to give up certain powers within government. And they don't want to hand that power over. So one of the things that we need to push as Aboriginal people and citizens of our country as a whole is that we need to get that Bill of Rights for human rights moving. We need to be pushing it because without it we don't have any human rights in this country.
That's why they run them up with COVID.
That's right, that's why they can do what they're doing with COVID, because there are no protection laws for the citizens here. They literally can do and say and implement whatever they want.
Nothing. No human rights.
You don't have any rights in this country. The second thing is a treaty for Aboriginal people needs to be pushed, and Aboriginal people need to be the ultimate decision making as per the United Nations recommendations on all matters regarding Aboriginal issues in this country.
Yes.
Okay, because we have no cultural rights, the Australian government can walk in, destroy our land, destroy our sacred sites, and there's nothing anybody can do about it in this country. So that's something that all Australians, everybody needs to think about. Your human rights laws have been violated by this country, and as of today, you have very little to no human rights at all in legislation. So that is a matter for all Australians to be standing up and fighting for. Thank you.
Population in Northern Territory, all children in juvenile detention are Indigenous. 100% of them. 3% to 100. My youngest brother is 15. People younger than him are being arrested, Indigenous and otherwise. Justice needs to be for everybody. It's not just for us. It's for everybody who needs justice and can't get it because of the lack of human rights. I honestly don't even know what to say. It's honestly just disgusting. I'm done.
Looking into prison abolition. You need to be looking into and imagining a world and putting into action a world where we do not have a prison system, where we can remove the powers of the police over us and an injustice system like the one we stand in front of. Because we as Aboriginal people lived for thousands of years without prisons, without police, and we still have laws. So don't tell me that it can't happen. I urge you to read Angela Davis. Educate yourself. If you are non-Aboriginal, you need to be reading Claire Land, Decolonising Solidarity, who's doing the work together on that. You need to be doing the work on yourself to be able to do the work on the community. This is gendered violence on Aboriginal women. From the bridge that they built down on Coumarank. Do you know about that, young people? Haimas Island, building a bridge to a sacred site of Aboriginal women, putting Ngarrindjeri spiritual beliefs on fucking their system to tell us whether it was valid or not listening to our elders like Auntie Doreen continuing. Gendered violence is Miss Jew sitting in a prison cell because she went to the police for protection and because of unpaid fines was put in a cell and then died from the physical injuries that she had sustained from the abuse, and they didn't believe her. That is gendered violence. Gendered violence is Annie Day, a bus or a tram, public transport, and they thought that she was drunk because she was a black woman and she wasn't. And because of public drunken laws, they arrested her. And then, that's not it, you know? It's not just the attacks on us as physical beings, it's the attack on our land, because we are land. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of our women being treated like shit. Enough. If it wasn't for black women, you wouldn't be here. Stand up. Protect the women that nurtured you, that gave birth to you. Black women are the mothers of this country. You need to respect them. Enough. And that's why they attack women, because they know that they are the heart of our communities. And it's enough.
Australia Motorcycle Club advocating for Aboriginal deaths in custody and supporting families who have experienced deaths in custody. We also fight for self-determination for Aboriginal people and empowerment. So when you see these guys out on their bikes, please support them, follow them on Facebook, show your support because they work really, really hard to support the people in our communities in South Australia when it comes to issues like this. So guys, you know, if you see these ones out and about, you know, give them the thumbs up or something because they're doing really, really great work. Thanks.